The best marketing strategy is to really be yourself. When you talk about like all these avenues like social media, TikTok, it can be really overwhelming and exhausting, and it could feel like a lot of work to the point where you're like, crap, I don't even want to do this anymore. So just make sure that like you're putting out your honest self.
All right, all right. Hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? This is Roy Uwe, and welcome to episode 004 of Breaking Down a Business. Join me as we interview everyday business owners and hear how they break down their business from their success, their strategies, tools, all the way down to their struggles and hardships. So stay tuned all the way till the end because they're really, really good takeaways that you can learn and implement in your business today. So on today's episode, we have Rayna Lo with Rayna Lo Art. She was born and raised in Chicago, currently lives in Boston. Before embracing herself as an artist, she worked in the pharmaceutical industry for 10 plus years. And now she teaches and she hosts Chinese calligraphy workshops, designing fun animals like Bear Mindful. And she creates, sells, and teaches art. Please, please, please welcome Rayna. Hi.
Hi.
You were 10 years in the pharmaceutical and you are not doing that. You completely did a complete 360.
Well, I've always been interested in art, but of course, growing up in an Asian household, I remember, asking my dad if it was okay for me to go to art school, and he said, "Absolutely not. I will not support that." So, like very typical answer, right? So I studied sciences, but art never really left me. I kind of just put it off aside. But I'm actually like looking back, I'm really glad that like I took that route because I did learn a lot of skills that helped me out that really come in handy today. After 10 years and just I learned a lot in the industry, but was also really stressed out.
Yeah.
And there was always this voice in the back of my head, that was like, hey, there's still something else that you really want to be doing. And it just, you kept thinking about it and thinking about it. And it took a toll on my mental health, my physical health. I wasn't really, feeling the greatest. So I had to really ask some important questions where, was this worth it? Do I continue along this path? Do I really want to move up to the next position in the corporate ladder?
Right.
Will that truly make me happy? Or am I willing to try something new? And yes, like this was a very scary, decision to make. And granted, like this is before the pandemic. So if I knew that the pandemic was going to happen, I wouldn't have. But I think this is where ignorance is a bliss. So, I think it's sometimes better to not know what the future will hold because then it'll actually just make you like go through it.
What was not necessarily the game plan, but like what was next? So you knew you wanted to get into art. Was there anything specifically that you're like, here's my game plan for this new adventure?
So I wrote out a business plan. My goal was to continue teaching in person. So I was also teaching and also working at the same time. And that's really like kind of to the point where I just couldn't do both anymore because I was at capacity. During my time in the pharmaceutical industry, in order to combat like the stress, I did turn to art. So this is just me like, drawing and also doing Chinese calligraphy as just as a stress reliever, as kind of like an outlet to get away from my corporate job. I don't know really why I had an inclination towards like Chinese calligraphy, but it's just something that I gravitated towards.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to practice reading and writing through Chinese calligraphy. So I just kind of did that off to the side as like my own personal, development thing. I think your environment plays a big role too,
absolutely,
in how you, I guess, pursue things too. And so there was a very like, business like minded entrepreneurial spirit here that I really appreciated that most likely served as a big catalyst for me to also pursue something that I really loved as well. So I was just really fortunate, to have that type of support and also like resources, like to have this community as a resource to help me out, to guide me. Because, when you jump ship, you're like, holy crap, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Like, mhm. And
Absolutely.
that's a normal feeling. But that's like, but that's part of the excitement. Because I did feel like I was too comfortable in my role. I feel like the real challenge is, are you willing to be a beginner again? Are you willing to start over again? Like kind of leave everything that you went to school for, that you worked your ass for, like can you like leave that behind and start something completely new and really be humbled by being a beginner?
Yes.
And that's where I found myself. And I was like, holy shit, this is like exciting, exhilarating, but also like really scary. But it's like you knew that you were gonna go on a journey, like no other. So
Absolutely.
um
Just like accepting that too at the same time. Again, I'm looking back at, how I got to where I am. And again, same similar boat, just blessed to be surrounded by, a supporting cast, and also like-minded. Obviously, as you know, Brian, Charlene's husband, has been a huge a mentor of mine throughout my whole journey. Um, and I remember having that conversation with him. Like we sat at a restaurant outside of, I could imagine it vividly. We were outside sitting, and he already had his CrossFit gym, and he literally asked me, he's like, Roy, so 1P, is this a hobby, or are you going to actually pursue it? You know? And that's when I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, Roy, he's like, well, you're still working at Julio's, right? So I was working there for 15 years. And then he's like, and you're also coaching CrossFit. I was like, yeah, I could do it all. And a business owner, you know what I mean? And so when he kind of broke down like the time and the energy with that, and then that's when it was basically like I felt like he kicked my ass and lit a fire, under me, and was just like, I need to drop one of these, and he's like, don't cut cold turkey right off the gate, but he's like, if you're working or if you're coaching X, Y, and Z, how many sales, right, or businesses do you need to get to replace that income coming in? And then again, just that like perspective and question that he asked kind of helped me navigate through where I am today. I was able to leave Julio's, but even still, I had a great rapport with Julio's. And as a server, bartender, etc., you're able to like get your shifts covered. And so again, I kind of got like majority of my shifts covered. But that kind of gave me that like, can I take this leap safely by
yeah.
with the income that I have and everything else like that. So again, it was just again, I could definitely relate to that. So tell us more. I actually want to learn more, because you do more than just calligraphy.
Before that, I feel like it's just like super important to really like know yourself. I love Chinese calligraphy so much. I like when I do it, I get a lot of peace from it. It's very therapeutic, meditative, etc. But I also knew that I just didn't want that to be the only thing I did. So just like knowing myself, I really do like to diversify. Like I just know that I can't do like one thing. It has to be a lot of things all at once. I mean, sometimes there's like pros and cons to that too, because focus, but nobody's perfect. So
We all have our
um,
outlets.
yeah, right. I need multiple outlets, that's for sure. Um, so I treated Chinese calligraphy like as a gateway. So it was like kind of like the entry point to art. But then when you open up that gate, there's like just so much to do. Like when you dig a little deeper,
Right.
there's just so many avenues that you can go to. So it's like it was like option overload. I was like, okay, what do I even do next? What can I do with this? And you
And
see what people are doing out there. It's like, okay, you can go like the fine art route, and work with the galleries and sell your art that way. Or I attend a lot of trade shows. You can go the wholesale route, or you can also sell on Etsy. There's just so many avenues that you can go. And so for me, I think the most important thing was just to explore. Like, I didn't go to art school.
Right.
So I needed to explore what I liked and what I didn't like. So I just took a bunch of classes. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I like, asked people what they were doing, how they were doing it. Especially when I was going to trade shows, like you're meeting people, like, how does this work? How does this wholesale model work? Like just whatever you can get
You
your hands on, just learn it, and
you
this is
were a
something that,
baby just absorbing everything
yeah.
that's being thrown at you.
Yeah,
Literally
exactly.
thrown at you.
Yeah. So everything that I was like learning that I learned in like my corporate world, I kind of like put off to the side, and it's like making room for new things. And this is also really scary and intimidating too, because you were like, what do I do now? It's you like left this little island and you're sailing away on your little tugboat to go somewhere else, but you're like, which direction do I go? And so you're essentially like trying to find your lighthouse. You're like, okay, maybe this is what I want to do. Maybe that's where I want to go. So during this time, while I was also doing Chinese calligraphy, I was, getting into painting, I was getting into illustration, getting into, making stickers and how to do that, and talking to friends on what they were doing. So I just really allowed myself to explore
Yes.
before like figuring out, before I honed in on different like types of revenue streams that
Okay.
could work for me and that I was interested in. Because
Right.
it's also easy to get sucked into things that like you necessarily don't like doing.
Absolutely.
So it's just, again, like knowing yourself and being honest with like what you truly want to be doing with your time. But yeah, I'm still in that process right now. It's an ongoing discovery process, but I honed in on like, so it's kind of like combining, I teach Chinese calligraphy, but then I started teaching illustration as well too. So just kind of the more I learn about other, different art styles and art, I also added to what I do know.
Right. Oh,
Which
sorry.
is,
Can I ask? Because I'm actually just curious. What do you mean by illustrations?
oh, like
So
drawing,
yeah,
teaching you how to draw.
is it on YouTube? Is it like Instagram
Online, yeah, it's,
Live? How does that?
oh, teaching it through like workshops. Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
online,
it's
yeah,
just
online
in
and in person. Yeah.
online and in person.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
I started teaching online, and that wasn't part of my original plan. It was because of the pandemic. So I mean,
Could be a
right? I
plus.
mean,
It sounds like it could be a plus. Like I'm
it
reaching
could
more
be plus. Yeah,
viewers.
it could be a plus, and also just like I think it depends on your mindset on how you want to take adversity and turn it into an opportunity somehow. Of
Yes.
course, it's super scary in the beginning because you're like, oh my God, what just happened? What do you do now? Um, so uh, if I were to advise anything, yes, you're going to have a business plan, but just know that it's a fluid working document that's going to change, and just don't be like stuck to it. Um,
Guys, please give us a like on the just that. I hope you guys wrote that down. She said it so quick, but so nonchalant, but so clean and effortlessly. Make sure you guys take that down. It is a ongoing, your business plan is just ongoing. It's just continuous work. Some ideas may work and some ideas won't. You just got to take it and
exactly,
kind of
exactly.
continue to go.
Yeah.
But
You
yeah,
will
sorry,
evolve. Yeah, exactly. You will evolve as much as the document will evolve. So the pandemic happened. So that just a new set of questions, a new set of challenges like came. And you're also like a part of it is you're just pivoting and adapting to what your circumstances are. You can't predict a lot of the stuff that's going, but you can, be in control of like how you react to it. And so you first start with what you know. It's like, okay,
yep.
clearly everything is going online right now because no one can leave their house. Everyone is like quarantining. Everything is shut down. How do you deliver stuff online? So then I had to figure out, okay, Zoom is apparently like the thing now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go Zoom. And obviously everyone's so used to Zoom right now, but starting out, you're like, okay, how do you do this? How do I provide my Chinese calligraphy supplies to people? I'm not going to
Yep.
have them go to the art store and pick out stuff that they don't even know what they're looking for.
Right.
So I had to make it super accessible for them in terms of like what to get. So then I was like, well, and I also had to make sure that it was cost effective for me as well too.
Right.
So this is where you're like, you're going back into like everything that you've done, and you never know how useful they could be until like later on. Um, so I remember meeting some suppliers when I went to the trade shows.
Hmm.
And so I talked to them and I was like, hey, I am going to be teaching online. And this was something that I wasn't really comfortable with because usually suppliers work with like bigger chain
Right.
stores, not like independent artists. So this was a little, why not? Just ask.
Hey,
um,
that was another one. She dropped another. That's I am all about just asking. Like you don't know until you actually ask.
right,
And then you're
exactly.
gonna have
Just
that like
ask.
little voice. You're gonna have that little voice saying, like, oh, you'll probably get rejected or it's not gonna happen. You're like, dude, I didn't even do anything yet. So by you asking, that's you taking action right there. I love that. You were saying.
Yeah, yeah, just ask. I know I could have thought of a million reasons as to why it wouldn't have worked, but just do it anyway.
Right.
What are they gonna do? Say no? I mean, okay,
Well,
fine,
then
great.
you're back to where you started, right? Even if they
Exactly.
did or didn't say anything, you were still at like no because you don't have the product anyways. So that's
Yes,
what I mean by like,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
I reached out to a bunch of suppliers. I did get some no's, which was
yeah,
expected. But I did explain my situation. Also, everyone was just, in a different mindset because it's like, oh, well, yeah, it's a pandemic going on,
hmm,
um, so I was able to secure have a relationship, with a supplier where I was able to procure supplies and also able to, start shipping them out, to my people who want to take my workshops online.
yeah,
Because that was like the biggest barrier. It's like, well, they want to take a Chinese calligraphy workshop, but they don't have the tools. They don't even know what to look for because I
right,
usually would have supplied them in person. And then how to even register people online, how to even like deliver a Chinese calligraphy workshop online. I mean, it was just a whole new set of challenges, to work with. So it took me a few months to figure that out. So right when I thought I was like moving in one direction, there was this new obstacle that came to for
so,
everybody, the
sounds
pandemic.
about right. So hey, you're on the right
Right.
page. It sounds about
So
right. I was waiting for a
then
little stumble.
yeah, yeah, and it's going to happen. Like
It
nobody's
is.
journey is going to be linear. You're going to go back and forth. You may take 5 steps forward, but you're gonna take a few steps back. That's just part of the process. And if you accept that, that's like just know that that's going to happen. But yeah, and then I started developing a process for myself online. So then this is where my business plan had also changed too. It's like, well, I have to start delivering online now.
Yeah.
Um, but then like there was also like beautiful things that like came out of it too. Because I was focused more on, the greater Boston area, but now
Right.
I've been able to expand nationwide, which has been really cool. So there's always opportunity in circumstances where you may not think there are. Um, and I couldn't have predicted any of
You,
this at all
you couldn't.
before.
And we
Mhm.
we call that green. I call it green light. Well, slight plug. There's a book by Matthew McConaughey. I don't know if you heard about it. It's actually called Green Light. It's actually really good. He kind of talks about his stories. And again, it's one of those things of like the experience. And then when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade out of it, so
Yes.
it's always looking at the positive side of things in that sense. And again, same thing when you're talking about like nationwide, social media is like huge, right? And again, the internet's huge, right? Like I said, you're in Boston, I'm in Chicago, and we're having this
We're
amazing
doing this.
conversation, But then even still, like with the screen printing business, I was able to. I thought I started just local in Chicago, and now we're servicing, over 400 CrossFit gyms nationwide, that I get to help with, merchandising and planning out their apparel and help, and so just to have that aspect. And I was like thinking it was only going to be something local, and then it grew. So like that's what I mean, like that was pretty cool. That was unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. Always just start small. Just really just start with what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
which is
no, thank you for sharing that. So what's your like work day
so
like?
I think the most important thing to do first is just to like kind of do an audit of your day and assess like how your energy levels are. Like, do you feel as an artist?
Yeah.
So do you feel like more creative, like, during, the mornings or the afternoons or evenings, and then to like work your schedule around that. so that you're more efficient in doing what you need to do at the appropriate times, which is something that I've been implementing, for myself. And but I wake up, I have my time for myself. I don't look at my phone like in the mornings,
Mhm.
because I just kind of want my inner world to be not affected by like the outside chaos. To kind of
Yes.
just have like your time to yourself. um, and then I'll start like doing some art, for myself, because I feel like for this, so this is more of a creative schedule for the creatives out there. It's really important to distinguish what you do creatively for yourself and what you do creatively as a business. There's still that distinction that I recently had to learn too, just for sanity purposes, because you don't want it to be all business all the time, or you're going to drive yourself crazy. So
Right. No, how
uh,
did you that's crazy. I'm like, I love that aspect that you just provided. Because again, now I'm like reflecting as a business owner, right? I was like, do I have creative outlets? Like what are my outlets?
it really hit me where it's like, okay, cool, I can do things for money, but I also need to do things like for me. So I then incorporate that like into my schedule. It's like, okay, fine, I'm doing stuff for the business, but am I also doing stuff for me, like just for me, where no one has to see it, but just for my personal enjoyment, personal fulfillment, because you can easily burn yourself out if you're just like doing business like 24/7.
Right.
um
Is that where because I follow you on the gram and I see you doing fun stuff with stamps, and then you also have like this whole like calendar year with like themes, that you did. I think you did like a cartoon theme, so the doodling is amazing. The
Thank you.
doodling is amazing. So is that like the creative outlet? Is that what you do in the morning?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
It's neat to explore and to, because you're still like, as a creative, you're never done growing. Because when you think of like your business, there's a lot of pressure. You got to make
Yes.
money. You got to survive. You got to like grow.
The pressure is real, guys. The
Right?
pressure is real.
It is way too much pressure. And so you need some sort of balance to offset that pressure. Um, like as an artist, I'm not going to draw everything perfectly, but there is that pressure, to do it. So then I carved out some time where I can just doodle. And even if something looks so off and bad, whatever, like that's cool. Like there's no pressure. So there's just time in your day where you can just draw whatever the hell you want, without like feeling self-conscious about it. And then, for business purposes, because people look at you like, well, you're an artist, like so you must, maybe they hold you to a standard or something, so then there's like,
It should
it's
be
just
your
balancing out
standard,
that pressure.
right? Do you see what I mean? Like it's your standard, not their
Yeah,
standard.
yeah, that's true. And just like reserve some time to then do the boring stuff. So this is where you're assessing your energy, like where you're okay. So for example, if you're like feeling super creative, like in the mornings, then reserve your creative time, for that type of energy. And then reserve or like think of, your boring stuff, like responding to emails or I don't know, expensing, whatever. Like, put that towards like a time where you don't have to do a lot of like mental thinking.
Yes.
So it's just really understanding, yourself, your energy, and what tasks that you need to be doing. So
I bet
and
I bet your Google Calendar looks very organized because I could like mine's very similar where I'm like, hey, I'm doing payroll on this date, right? Do you see what I mean? And then I got to do
Mhm.
expenses over here, and then I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm blocking off certain times, which is what you do need. You need
Yes, you
some
do. Yeah.
structure because you are the business owner, so no one's asking you to put out these reports, pay the bills, etc., other than
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. Yeah. It's just a lot of hats that you have to wear. I personally, I actually have like a paper planner. For me, this is just what works for me, writing everything
Right.
out. If something is on a Google Calendar, for the life of me, I just won't get to it. So it just, I don't know, for me as a calligrapher, I have to write it
Yeah,
out.
absolutely. Raina, can you share us, right? What's something you know now as a business owner that you wish you knew when you first started as,
Um,
as a creative?
yeah. Do it for you. Do it for yourself. Um, for a very long time, I did things, but I didn't do it for myself. I thought that I had to be a certain way, to satisfy like my parents' expectations or what I thought society expected of me or what I thought was the right way to go about things. And but I realized that made me so miserable.
Right.
So really know yourself and do it for you. Um, help yourself. Make sure that you as a person, where you feel like you're confident like with yourself, help yourself first before you can like help others. I'm in the business of serving others and to make sure that they are on a really cool like creative journey to open up their creativity. But before I had to do that, I had to make sure that I was doing the same thing for myself.
Yeah.
So similar to they always say that like on the airplane, when the oxygen masks come down, help like do you before
You,
you help somebody else. And it's so true. You really do have to help yourself first before you're able to help and serve others. So it's
yes.
something I wish I knew early on, but I think it's just over time you start to realize that.
Right. So
Yeah.
again, that's why I know. Thank you so much for sharing that. So then again, everyone who's listening could now, take that piece, of Reina and hold that in, because again, we're all here in the same boat, of this entrepreneurial journey, as I like to call it. And we're just here to share our experiences too at the same time, the little struggles, that goes in our head, that we're all thinking about. So, guys, you're not alone. We're here with you, and that's why I just like love this. So, thank you again for being here. With that, I do have another question for you. For like marketing and sales, right? How does that look, right, as a creative?
I have tried a lot of things within my capacity, from like, Facebook ads to, but I really feel like for me and my business, maintaining like solid, good working relationships has been the best thing that has worked out for me.
Hmm.
When you deliver like a really good workshop, they're going to tell the people that they know. But I think the best thing for me has been like just maintaining good working relationships with all my clients. Because, everyone that you meet is either a client or a connection. So
Yes.
I treat it that way. So just really maintain good, strong working relationships with everyone that you meet or that you've worked with. I think that has been the best strategy that has worked for me.
Right. What about I know you mentioned like stickers, so like your utensils, like little stuff like that. How are you also marketing yourself in the other avenues that you offer?
Yeah. Social media.
Hmm.
Start with what you know. Social media is free, right? So do that first. But can also like pay for like ads. You can also I go the route of like hiring a marketing person to do this. I haven't done this yet, but I've heard a lot of success from my other entrepreneurs that have done this.
For sure.
But to be honest, it's still a work in progress for me, in terms of the products and like stickers, and all the other products I sell. But social media has been really helpful in doing
Do
that.
you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
I do not.
You need to follow him yesterday.
Okay.
Gary Vaynerchuk, shout out to Gary V. I've been listening to him to like 5, 6 years. He is the top dog when it comes to small business owners, motivating you, but also just marketing strategies. And he tells you how it is, right? And he's, obviously, yes, is he Fortune 500? Like, does Is Pepsi one of his clients? Of course they are, right? But what I love about him is that he's just so raw and real. And he's just like, guys, you're just starting. Social media is free. What are you doing? Put out content. Why aren't you putting out content? So like he gets you in
Hmm.
that sense of like he's nagging at your ear, and then again he's talking to that person behind your head of like, don't do it, no one's gonna look, no one's gonna watch, and he's like, you need to do it. Why aren't you doing it, and why are you making excuses? Right. So he gives you like the tips, tools, tricks, etc., in that sense that I always follow
Yeah.
in the sense of I need to get on TikTok, right? One, because that's where everyone's attention is. And so he actually had this one episode. I don't know if you heard of this person. I have to like look her up, but basically she made like ugly drawings of like, I will redo your logo. Like, and it was like
Oh, I
a
heard. Yeah, I
funny,
remember saying this. Yeah.
right? And so this person blew up, literally blew up via TikTok. And she was just doodling on TikTok and was just like, haha, this is the she did like the NFL. So the NFL hired her to like redo some logos. So like there's a lot to do with what like either you love or you're just like what you're talking about, like just playing around with certain things and
Hmm.
something will just again just catch. But it's almost like, well, I'm gonna post me, what I like,
Hmm.
what I love doing. This is my passion. This is who I am. And then again, because you're on these platforms, you just never know that you're like, oh, I'm gonna do the skit, and I'm gonna draw this
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
funny, and I'm gonna, you know, redraw this or creatively, do something different, right? And again, I was just like, wait, she made ugly drawings of their logos, and now everyone's just hiring her to be like, can you make my logo?
Yeah.
Like, holy cow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So that again, that's what I mean by if please do check out Gary Vaynerchuk. You could get like lost because he has 5+ years um,
Will
in
do.
his thing.
Yeah. Hmm.
That'll kind of help and navigate you through everything. And his whole thing is just where everyone's eyeballs are, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
hence it's that like feeling. And again, I know you mentioned it earlier where like you don't know, right? And connecting the dots and it's uncomfortable. And so again, for me, I'm like, dang it, another new platform. How do I get into this platform? Well, guess what? I said that like 5 years ago when Instagram came out. I'm like, crap, Instagram, I got to take pictures. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
again, that's what's like the beauty of social media. It's like we're hitting that reset button. But again, I'm hoping because we're in this field of like experience, like we've gone through this before, you could do it, give yourself that self talk like, hey, I'm going to take it and I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to get lost in TikTok or whichever, right? Social media platform
Hmm.
strategy and just have fun with it. Right. And that's the end of the day is having fun with it versus putting that pressure on
Yes. Yeah.
you for it to be perfect.
Yes, exactly. And as you were talking, I mean, the best marketing strategy is to really be yourself. Because when you talk about like all these avenues like social media, TikTok, and I mean, it can be really overwhelming and exhausting, and it could feel like a lot of work to the point where you're like, crap, I don't even want to do this anymore. So just make sure that like you're putting out your honest self, um, and then go and start in that direction. Like don't like pretend to be like something you're not, but like just really push out like what you are and what you are doing and stuff. And blogging is like SEO. Like I think everyone should get familiar with SEO, search engine optimization. I definitely had to learn that as well too.
Yeah.
But you're essentially you want to be searchable and you want to be findable.
Yes.
So I already had like so many thoughts that I was thinking about. Well, then turn them into blogs,
Yep.
because blogs are super important in trying to be searchable and findable as well too. And when I do ask people, "Oh, how did you find me?" They're like, "Oh, we found you through your website." I'm like, "Well, that's great." So clearly, like the blogs are working somehow.
So what's next? What do you have next in the like this year for 2022? What does Rayna Lo Art look like in 2022?
Um, well, we can never know what outcomes are going to happen. But I am creating in the works, creating more artwork, also exploring NFTs. As a creative, I feel like, it's very new and still like esoteric. People have their strong opinions on it, whether they're for it or against it.
Right.
And for me, I am just trying to see what this is all about and how I could add to the mix. So there's that. And I have some really cool projects lined up with some collaborators
Yes.
that I can't share just out of for privacy, but I'm just really excited to be, working with them. Um, more workshops with, local museums, universities, coming up as well too. So there's definitely a lot in the pipeline, but it's very diverse. So
Yeah.
it's kind of all
No,
over
which
the
is so again, that's what you need, all the different lanes.
Mhm,
I call them lanes. You need all the different
mhm.
lanes because again, you don't know. You're throwing that dart and you're like, I hope something sticks. But what
Yes.
you notice is all of these are sticking. You're just like, how do I
Yeah.
add more fuel to this so that it could expand even more? Rayna, I would love to have you back so we could talk more about NFTs because I am oblivious. I know a little bit just because Gary Vee talks about it. I'm still a little lost, but what I
We
do
all
know
are.
is that what I do know is that it's amazing for artists. But we do end every show with a rapid fire fun question. So we have 5 questions.
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind, and then we'll just go. So first question: one thing you can never live without and can't be coffee.
My cat Ollie.
Cat Holly. What do you do to manage your mental health?
I collect postage stamps.
Hmm. What is your current obsession?
My cat. Ollie.
Ollie. Ollie gets two. And what is a morning routine that you have to do every day?
I clean
Clean.
to clean
And
my mind for the day. Yeah.
what is a good rule you've learned from someone?
Obstacles are the path. It's a Zen proverb that I've heard many times from other people, and I've also read about. And it keeps me grounded in knowing that obstacles are the path.
Wow, way to end the show. Rayna dropping these nuggets. Rayna, thank you again so much for sharing your journey with us. Guys, please show us some love for Rayna. Give us a like, comment, Bearful Mindful. Or is it Bear Mindful?
Very mindful.
Comment below, Bear Mindful, that we know that you guys made it till the end. And subscribe to our channel. Obviously, check out her social media, her amazing work. Please, please, please go ahead and support her. And again, it'll be all in the description below. If you have been listening wherever and or watching wherever you are in the world, please make sure to share your biggest insights. Let us know your key takeaways and what else you'd like to learn on this channel. So again, I am here to help you and guide you through your entrepreneurial journey. So stay tuned. Rayna, it's been a pleasure. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you again for watching. If you want any more videos just like this one, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe and check out these other videos right over here. We post a new video every Wednesday. Thanks again for checking us out.